Frank. What's the weirdest thing you've ever saw in here?
Let me ask you a question, kid. Did you see that movie, Night of the Living Dead?
Hey, we gonna party tonight or what?
Yeah, we are gonna party.
Well, where are we gonna party?
I don't know, somewhere.
Hey, we could go to the park.
Oh, no, we can't. The cops said they'd shoot us if we go back to the park.
Yeah, and I ain't in no mood to go tonight.
I like death.
Greetings, ghouls, and welcome to minute 77 of Do You Want to Party, the Movies by Minute podcast for the 1985 groundbreaking horror classic, The Return of the Living Dead. I'm your host, Troy, and making his triumphant return to the podcast is...
It's Mitchell. It's been a while, but you got me back.
Yes, exactly. Finally, Mitchell graced us with his presence yet again. His schedule opened up, and we decided to take full advantage of that.
Yeah, I apologize for the past couple of months has been a bit hectic with film festivals and work.
Because it's been a little bit of a while since actually, right, Mitch has been on this particular show. Just stay tuned till like after the credits and all that sort of thing, where we do a little bit of our usual movie talk.
So we're just going to start with this minute, beginning with doing some redecorating, and it's going to end up with pulling out the tray. In his suspenders attached Levi 501sts, the reanimated body of Freddy howls and growls in an angry fit as he blindly stumbles his way through the hallway between the wee chapel of the dawn and the embalming room concealed within the walls of the Resurrection Funeral Home. Without sight, his feet shuffle his form forward, which has its arms wildly flailing around, grabbing at anything he can reach. After knocking over yet another small table, he moves forward, knowing a tasty snack of live brains is close by. His advancements is halted as he finds a full wall before him, his fingers gripping at the mounted painting of a landscape. His loud, pained yelling fuels his destructive tendencies as he tears the framed picture off the wall. As it tumbles to the floor, Freddy redirects himself to the hallway to the left, knowing the layout of the building. As he continues on his way, he steps over the fallen artwork and disappears from view. Inside the yellow-tiled wall of the embalming room, the still tied in place half-corpse lays upon the metal embalming table, its head slowly rocking back and forth, its extremely bony fingers clutching and unclutching. The door that leads into this room, while currently locked by its bolt lock, it's currently being shook wildly on its hinges as Freddy's yelling voice is slightly muffled by the barrier.
I did not even notice the corpse on the table moving its hands until you pointed it out. My attention was firmly fixated on the ladder going up, and I know this movie predates it, but I just cannot not think about Jurassic Park and escaping the raptors into the vents and kicking out the ladder. I don't know if Spielberg was inspired by this or is just such a classic trope of hiding in the ceiling tiles. I'm assuming it's a ladder, but I love this scene. It's so good.
Mm-hmm. But like you mentioned also, there's a lot going on in this scene. There is the distraction of the door, which is just shaking on its hinges and all that sort of thing. And again, you have Ernie being distracting by, as what I'm about to describe and all that sort of thing, setting up the ladder and whatnot. But yes, the corpse, prior going into this, I had thought the corpse was just laying there to begin with and all that. And it was until, again, doing this minute by minute, you realize the extra details and like, oh, that's cool. The creature is still moving. So
like just the little animatronics just really brings the whole scene to life, and that whole shit that's still going on that we're not seeing right now because we're seeing this very tiny thing. There's a lot more going on behind the walls.
Yeah. So due to his broken right foot, Ernie desperately retrieves the wooden ladder as it's located against the wall next to where the door intrudes into the room. Hopping on one foot, he hustles as best as possible to set it up underneath the hatch into the ceiling leading to the crawl space. The other person in the room, Tina, girlfriend of the creature formerly known as Freddy, who is still trying to force his way into the room, She stands near the far corner, watching Ernie's progress with the situation. She tentatively steps towards him, and after quickly makes a few adjustments to the climbing equipment, uh, the insistent the instant he's satisfied with the placement, he quickly grabs at Tina to rush her up the ladder. Panicked, she starts to climb, but before she is able to get far enough to reach the hatch above, Ernie starts to scurry up after her. He pushes at her to go higher as Tina steps to the almost top step, her hands now touching the hatch. Inside the dark hideaway, the floor cracks open as Tina emerges into it with hurried desire. Once she pushes the hatch all the way open, she grabs at the corners of the opening and begins to lift herself into the small hiding place. She quickly clears herself, and as Ernie now grabs at the opening, now to lift himself upwards to join Tina, who's still crying as the pounding on the door and the screaming of Freddy can be heard still. Before Ernie is almost halfway in, his foot set on the top of the ladder at the last moment pushes it aside, causing it to tumble over. His leg dangling in the air as he fully retreats into the darkness above.
Once the ladder loudly hits the ground, the door suddenly gives up, holding back Freddy as he bursts through, his gray skin on full display. Red gore and foam pours from his purple lips, his mouth open in a ghastly gap. The damage to his eyes, where the flesh around them from the acid tossed into his face earlier, fresh pinkish red flesh melted to obstruct his view.
He's still yelling angrily as he rushes forward, only to be stopped by the metal table just inside the room past the doorway. He bellows loudly for his girlfriend. And as Ernie drops shut the access door to the and mounts it, then while below their hiding place, Freddy continues to call out for Tina. Just as Ernie unholsters his sidearm and firmly pulls back on it to cock it for use. Meanwhile, in the cremation chamber, the open oven bursts into action as both sides of the gas fuel fired comes to life, as the flames fill the small area, dancing and rolling inside. The now gray, gaunt face of Frank comes into view, the fire casting its light directly onto him. Similar to his former workmate, his friend is showing the same redness coating from his mouth and over his chin.
I am loving the sequence, especially the transition of just as he cocks
Ernie.
was it Ernie who cocks the gun, that we transition to the music and the very sad, like, even though music's kind of rockish, it's very clear it's a sad, somber moment that we're about to be very upset with this character. Not upset as in why'd they do that, but just empathizing. And it's such a well done scene in a horror movie. Like, it's very emotional and touching in that sense. So it's I forgot how well this was done until rewatching it recently.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, the transition is on from crosscut to the scene. We actually have an overlay of Burn in Flames by Rocky Erickson, who performs the song that we now hear playing over this next sequence that takes place with Frank.
And with the foreshadowing of Ernie cocking the gun, it kind of represents what's going to come. And we just not in the audience not realizing who is going to be the next to go. And now seeing Frank, it's well done. It's probably one of my favorite editing shots in this film so far.
Oh, wait until the work print comparison.
Oh, okay. I'm excited.
So his Frank's eye sockets are purple, matching his nostrils and cheeks. He blinks wildly as he steps closer to the oven. The wall of fire has grown to fill the area, and with his face coated in sweat, Frank raises his hand and struggles slightly to pull his wedding ring off of his finger. Once freed, he holds it daintily with both hands. He puckers his lips to kiss the symbol of his love towards his wife. Then he gently places over the upturned activation switch. He drops to his knees before the now open oven, holding his hands up in a prayer position placed just to the side of his head. He quietly pleads for absolution.
Forgive me.
Then again, rises to his feet, tentatively reaches forward and onto the oven to grab the two handles of the pull-out table from inside. He growls in pain as the heat of the metal surface burns his hands. Pushing past the discomfort, he steps backwards, bringing the tray out with him. And once it's out enough, Ernie stops, and as he's about to lift his leg onto it, that is where we end this minute. So yeah, so one of the things I have to point out again is in this particular sequence also it's very visible here when we have Tom Matthews at the end of the hallway flailing around and all that sort of thing because he's got his arms lifted in his hair. Typically what happens when you do that sort of thing, your t-shirt gets pulled up slightly as well. And as you can see clearly, they neglected to put makeup around his midsection. Now, in the previous minute when he rolls out of the chapel, you can see that they actually did around his, like the waistband of his pants and all that sort of thing. So his lower stomach area is there, but because his shirt rides up higher than they had makeup, there's an actual like, hey, regular just flesh-colored Tom Matthews skin hanging out there and all that sort of, and you can see it from the back shot as well when he starts pulling out the picture and all that sort of thing, which is kind of a neat little thing.
Come on, the necrosis hasn't reached his back yet. Come on.
Well, see, that's the other reason. Yeah. Now, again, I don't have 100% information about this, but the reason they decided to put Freddy back into his jacket is so they wouldn't have to do as much makeup on him as well. Because for the most part, his full arms are completely exposed, like shoulder right down to his hands and all that sort of thing. So by throwing the jacket on him, they can later on deal with just doing makeup on his face instead of doing his whole entire body. And of course, they took into consideration, obviously, from the one shot you can see, they decided, okay, his shirt is a little shorter to begin with, so we'll do around his stomach. But again, in this one particular sequence,
Oh, 100%. I think they underestimated how much of his back they were going to show during this sequence, or
for
they
sure,
thought
yeah.
it was such a short time. They're like, we just won't use where you can see his back. Oh no, that was actually really good footage we used there. All right, we'll just leave it in.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't get pulled up in any of the commentary tracks, so I'm not 100% sure how, again, accurate that is, but I have a feeling it was just like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a decision made for a simplistic makeup, and oh shoot, we didn't anticipate that. Moving on.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of moving on, we'll go over on the commentary track, which again is with writer Dan O'Bannon, and the production designer William Stout. So to begin with, Dan O'Bannon again compliments Tom, where he gave him permission to trash the set, pointing out to the actor that this was the last thing they were shooting in this hallway, so just to go for it, which is kind of neat. So again, in previous minutes, Tom Matthews has been told, like, hey, you know what, just go crazy and all that sort of thing. And Dan O'Bannon was like, let's just let him do what he wants to do. So the sequence between him and Tina in the chapel, going over top and all that sort of thing was all like encouraged by Dan O'Bannon. So again, another reason where probably not until he started shooting that he decided to flail his arms and all that sort of thing. Again, exposing his stomach more than the makeup had done and all that sort of thing. And so then William Stout mentions that the crawl space was responsible for his nicest compliment from Don Calfa, and how spending the day rehearsing, he was worried about leaning back at any point to avoid to the avoidance of spiders and getting dirty until he confesses his realization of this being a set. That not even the dust was real. William Stout then says he goes on about how happy he was with the statement and how it helped with his acting. So it helped Don Calfa with his acting, thinking that it was like an actual set and all that. Not a set, but an actual location. And then when Dan O'Bannon talks about how James Cairn had the idea of the wedding ring and the prayer for forgiveness as a Catholic going to be committing suicide, and then Dan O'Bannon was all for his suggestions. So again, like we know from the history of the making of the movie, that Frank's character was originally supposed to leave the building and go out into the rain, and good old James Cairn was all like, "I don't want to get wet. How about we do this instead?" And when he brought the idea, because the script does not call for this sequence, there is no Frank committing suicide, or I guess it's technically ending his non-existence and all that sort of thing. It's technically, but anyways, so yeah, so this is all James Cairn, and even the extra suggestions of the details and all that. Dan O'Bannon was all like, "Yeah, let's go for that sort of thing." So, which is always kind of a neat thing to see with the collaboration and whatnot.
And I apart like it seems such a good poignant moment that is such a stark contrast for the rest of the film that it feels right to be included. Where if they had deviated, it would feel just, oh, another scene.
Yes, exactly.
Potentially.
And the fact that it comes at this moment, at the moment of uh especially the despair of Tina and Ernie being abandoned by Frank and
Yeah.
Spider, who like basically get into their own new situation and all that. And yeah, so again, to have this poignant, almost like
Personal.
personal, yeah, personal, like emotional,
Hmm.
like sudden, like switch of gears sort of thing. Because we just came from this like yelling Freddy and friggin' Tina and Ernie hiding and all that sort of thing. And again, to cross into the sequence where this gentleman has decided, I can't deal with
I,
this anymore and I have to,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I can't proceed with what's to come. I know what's
Yes,
to come.
exactly,
This is not
exactly. Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
It's a kind of a tonal or it's a whiplash almost, as you're
Yep,
not
yep.
expecting it,
Yeah, for
but it
sure.
still feels appropriate as these two sequences are happening simultaneously, possibly in our heads they seem to be. So
Right, right.
it's kind of incredible to think of both these worlds existing at the same time.
We're going to do according to the script right now. So this is where we get into the actual story and screenplay by Dan O'Bannon. This is the revision from October 1983, and it's based on a story and screenplay by John Russo, Rudy Rickey, and Russell Steiner. So to begin with, we go with the interior, mortuary, hallway, night, rain. He feels his way down the hall to the embalming room and tries the door. It is locked. Obviously, the he is Freddy, but it's part of a previous sequence that actually dealt with stuff that happened in the previous minute, so we'll just carry on from there. Interior, bombing room, night, rain. Tina and Ernie both jump as Freddy smashes against the door. Desperate, Ernie looks up at the crawl space hatch in the ceiling. Crash! The door to the hall starts to split. Ernie limps over to the stepladder. Tina helps him move it onto the hatch. He hustles her up the ladder to the hatch in the ceiling. She goes up she goes up into it and he follows her up the ladder, crawling painfully because of his broken foot. Tina pulls him up. Once they are inside the attic crawlway, Ernie reaches back down to push the stepladder over so that it falls away from the hatch. Just as the ladder hits the floor, bang! The hall door bursts open and Freddy rushes in, crashing blindly into furniture. Freddy, Tina! Where are you? Where's your brains? Cut to interior, attic crawl space, night rain. Tina and Ernie huddle in the dark rafters, listening to Freddy below. Quickly, Ernie props a short piece of 2x4 against the hatch, blocking it shut. Tina, listen. Ernie listens. They hear a sound of a helicopter. All right, so that's about all that we got for the script as it goes and all that. Now, as you've seen in the sequence, we actually have the Frank's crematorium scene and all that sort of thing, which obviously does not appear in the script. And the sequence of Frank actually happens just slightly before Bert and actually Spider leave the embalming room and get into the cop car and drive away and all that sort of thing. So Frank's sequence in the script where he leaves the building happens a little earlier. And then as we get into the next sequence, which is the work print comparison, which is where we actually take when you film your whole entire movie, when you're finished doing the whole entire thing, you assemble all the pieces together and you're left with a long version of the movie, which you then edit down to get to your final version of the movie. So in comparison, we are dealing with minute 76 to 77, where in the work print, we are actually at minute 94 to 95:33 in comparison to the movie. So it's kind of neat to see a little bit of extra every single time. So in this version, it's not as tight as the final version. When we see Freddy going down the hallway, it's actually the camera is all the way back in the foyer next to the actual chapel and all that sort of thing going down. It's not like a close-up shot of Freddy as we do, and as it is. We actually, from this pullback shot, we can actually see there's like two paintings up on the wall, and then he knocks over one, even though the version that we have in the final version, it's zoomed in and we only see the one. The shot inside the embalming room starts sooner when the script describes that the two of them jump to it and all that sort of thing. As soon as the bang starts, we actually see Ernie sitting on a secondary exam table, and all of a sudden he then hops off of it and then goes over to the ladder, whereas in the final version he starts already grabbing the ladder because the door's already been banging for a little bit, which is kind of neat to see a little thing. And then once they actually get up into the crawl space, it actually plays out a little longer. After Ernie cocks the gun and all that sort of thing, he crawls back off of the actual hatchway. He grabs a couple of like what he thinks are heavy enough items to put on top of it, realizes that doesn't happen, and then he puts the 2x4 up against the ceiling and the actual hatch itself. Because when we cut when again a little bit into the future and all that sort of thing, when we cut back to a shot of Ernie and Tina back in the little crawl space, the actual 2x4 is already there, but in the final print, we actually don't see them set it up because it's in the work print that we actually see them set it up. So, yeah.
I guess it's kind of a, hey, there's a 2x4. They must have put it in. It's the audience can figure that part out. It's not a, it's, yeah, it's not a story critical scene, and to save a few frames or seconds, it's might as well trim it.
Exactly. But again, they shot it, and that's why it's in this work print and all that sort of thing. Also in the work print version, we actually have Ernie detect the helicopter that is written in the script that they detect and all that sort of thing. Whereas in the final version, neither of the characters make comparison on all that because of, well, when you get to our next minute, it becomes a little more clear of why they don't need Ernie and Tina to acknowledge the helicopter. So,
shoot, I think I know. I think I remember what's coming up in the next minute. Actually, I think I think I do recall when we first started this project, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this. Okay, I'm excited.
All right, so that's going to bring us to the end of this particular minute. Is there anything you want to add to this particular sequence of events and all that sort of thing, Mitch?
No, I think we hit it. I made my my Jurassic Park references. I've talked about backsides of individuals that weren't painted properly. So I think I hit all my checklists of things that got my attention.
All right. So that being said, thank you, Mitch, for joining me here for this particular episode and all that. Thanks for your triumphant return.
Oh, it's always a pleasure.
Well, we are coming up to the end of the actual program. I want to thank you for all the time that you've devoted to this particular project and all that sort of thing. I've always enjoyed your input and our conversations during these particular episodes throughout the year and a bit that I've been doing this silly little show. Audience, thank you for joining us as well. Again, we're coming up on the end. We've only got a few short episodes left. We got about 2 months worth of episodes to go, and just thank you again for joining us on this group. Again, just if you know someone who's into this particular movie, you know what? Shoot them towards this particular podcast because I'm pretty sure if you're getting this far into it, you probably are kind of enjoying yourself, and I'm pretty sure someone else will too. Just one more thing about the upcoming conventions. This past weekend actually was a pretty big weekend for the Return of the Living Dead cast. Where they were in Chicago. Next week, next month, December 5th to 7th, Days of the Dead, Indianapolis, Indiana, where you'll be able to meet the entire cast. And so, that being said, thanks again, Mitch. Thanks again, audience. I got nothing else to say, but see you next Wednesday.
You've just been listening to a Planet Geek production of Do You Want to Party? A Movies by Minute podcast of the 1985 The Return of the Living Dead. Please be sure to subscribe, download, comment, share, rate, and review. Be sure to follow us on our social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Tumblr, or Letterboxd. Search for Planet Geek Productions. X, former Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky, search for Planet Geek Pod. Or send us an email to planetgeekpod@gmail.com. Our closing music is provided by Night Chill. See the show notes for more details. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and farewell, fiends.
So, in his suspenders attached to his Levi 501st, the reanimated body of Freddy howls and growls as he angrily, in an angry fit, as he bind. In his suspended, let's try this 3 times as a charm, right, Mitch?
Oh, you got it.
Yeah. Right. Well, is there anything else? Like, you've been away for a while, and you're a movie guy and all that sort of thing. I have a couple of you guys on here and all that sort of thing. You have anything interesting that you might have seen recently? Again, this is going to be going out pretty much the week that we're recording this, so it's still kind of fresh and new.
So this is not a contemporary recommendation. This is going to be coming out in probably a month or two. I saw this in September at TIFF. It's called Obsession. It's a great horror film about a guy who wishes that his coworker, that he becomes the most important thing in his coworker's life. And it gets.
I think I've heard that. I think I've heard about that one. Yeah.
I may have mentioned this on another podcast.
Okay, that might be it.
I strongly recommend it. It won second place for Toronto's Midnight Madness Festival this year. It's solid. The actress who plays I would say she's the lead, not the guy who made the wish. She's fantastic. Her physical acting is unnerving and uncomfortable. And the escalation is, you expect it, but as soon as it hits, you're like recoiling for how well it's executed. And
Excellent.
It was picked up for distribution in September, so we probably won't see a wide distribution until the new year, or at maybe streaming. But again, the film Obsession is probably in my top 3 of this year.
Oh, that's good to know. That's a great thing. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. Back to the microphone. There we go. No, that's kind of cool to hear. And yes, it was during our other podcast with the summer movie draft that you actually brought that up and all that sort of thing, winning Tiffany and all that, TIFF and all that sort of thing. So yeah, cool.
And the cast is a lot of relative unknowns, except Andy Richter's in it, who's playing the manager of the music shop that they work at.
That's right, Andy Richter. Yes. Now I totally remember you talking about this. Yes.
Yeah, he was the only one I recognized. Everyone else were new actors, people that are coming up, and they all did a great job. But again, the protagonist, that is the love interest, she's incredible. Strongly recommend it just for her acting. She's fantastic.
So it's kind of a parallel to the cast of this particular movie, right? Because you have your notable older seasoned actors and all that sort of thing. But for the most part, you have a young cast this is early in their acting careers and all that sort of thing. So this is their first working together and all that sort of thing. Again, another thing we keep pointing out how the cast works so well together for being pretty much new to the business sort of thing. Yeah.
I'm gonna butcher her name, but
Okay.
it's Indy Navarrete. She's an
Okay.
American. I'm reading off Wikipedia. She's
Okay.
an American actress, well known for playing Sarah Cushing in Superman and Lois. So she has had screen, but I don't think she's a
Wait,
common name.
so she's an American actress
Yep,
and
she
she
was
was
in the show
on
Superman and Lois.
Superman and Lois. So that was the right, the CW Flash universe.
Yeah,
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
So I
So,
don't think I
but
didn't
she was an
watch it.
American, but working in Canada because that to me was that not also one of the ones shot in Vancouver as well as the other CW Flash series?
I have no knowledge about the CW Flash series,
Okay,
unfortunately. And
no, because I
as
think
the X-Files showed that there could be a lot of American shows filmed up in Canada,
yeah,
and it's not
exactly.
necessarily.
No, I apologize. I believe it was called the Arrowverse because it was
Oh,
Arrow,
yes.
Flash, Supergirl, and then Superman and Lois, which I'm pretty sure all of those. And sorry, Legends of Tomorrow. I can't leave that one out. But yeah.
Honestly, I've only heard of Flash and the Arrowverse, and the rest I didn't realize were things. So that's on me. I'm more of a Marvel guy. I will concede that.
Yeah. All right. So, Mitch, is there any other things that you would like to maybe suggest for the audience? Anything current or that sort of thing that might be interesting to them?
Recently I got to see Begonia, starring Emma Stone, and I'm gonna butcher his name, but it's directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. He's well known for directing Dogtooth, The Lobster, Killing of a Sacred Deer, Poor
Yes.
Things.
Okay. Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I I will concede I've not seen all of his films. However, I am a big fan of the where this film kind of grew from. Um, I hopefully our listeners will are old enough to remember the early 2000s. Um,
Okay. Mitch, I've looked at our numbers. I can guarantee you that they are an older crowd. So,
Perfect. That way I don't feel out of
yeah.
place.
Yeah.
So, Troy, I'm going to ask you,
Yes.
how familiar are you with these films? The Uninvited, Shudder, Dark Water, Grudge, and The Ring.
Pretty familiar with most of those. What was the first one again?
Shutter and The
Shutter,
Uninvited. I can't remember
Shutter.
which one I said first, to be honest.
Oh yeah. I think the uninvited I think doesn't sound familiar, but the other ones definitely I do. Yes, I am aware of those.
Perfect. All of these are remakes of Asian horror
Yes,
films.
exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Shudder is Thai, for the same name. The Uninvited was a remake of the Korean film A Tale of Two Sisters.
Yes, Two
One
Sisters.
Miss
Yes.
One Miss Call, Dark Water, Grudge, The Ring are all
Yeah.
Japanese remakes.
Yes.
Um, this was kind of at the start of Korean New Wave, for what I
Right.
understand. This
Right.
is where Bong Joon-ho's film The Host came out in around
Yes.
2008.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
So we're starting to see this rise of Asian horror and social commentary, especially like the Ring and The Host is very
Yeah.
critical of governments and
Mm-hmm.
father figures in that aspect. Um, Now, during this time, I saw a film called Save the Green Planet, and it was a very quirky, kind of unusual film about these two guys who are convinced a CEO is an alien from another planet and is setting up the Earth to be colonized.
Okay. Yeah.
That leads us to Begonia, the remake of this film,
Okay.
which I am shocked it's taken 20 years to be remade because I felt it matched a lot of the other films around this time, that similar themes, similar concepts that would have been remake in that time. However, it is very class consciousness, it is very critical of
Right.
corporations.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so that's probably why it had some delay in its being production.
Okay.
Begonia I really enjoyed. It is a slower film than the original. It does take its time in building up and showing it.
Oh,
Emma
okay.
Stone, is fantastic. She plays the
Right.
CEO character.
Yeah.
She is the best, one of the best parts of this film. She is
Oh, that's good to know.
fantastic.
Good. Okay, excellent.
Um, the interactions between her and the the two
The
individuals
two
who
gentlemen?
the two gentlemen who
Yes.
question her about her ancestry, they are very well done questions, and you feel these characters are so over their heads that they are lost in conspiracy and nonsense. And watching
Okay.
them follow and question Emma Stone's character and go to such ridiculous lengths to heavy quote protect themselves, it's a fun watch.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it's very well done. There's a few moments where you will be a little squeamish. I think only like two moments, but
All
it's
right.
definitely toned down from the original.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
the original definitely has a lot more torture than this one does,
Ah, okay.
but that might be just the role change and different time periods being made.
Oh, so yes, of course, the original would have had a man as the
Correct.
CEO sort of thing. So yeah, you don't want to do the same sort of, even though the story calls for it, you probably don't want to see torturing a woman as much as you would take
I,
watching a man being tortured.
I believe in the original, the man has a hot iron pressed to his chest. So I don't think we could do that with Emma Stone.
No, no,
However,
no.
90% of the other stuff is consistent.
Oh, okay.
So, like, apart from a few obvious ones that aren't really narratively necessary, it's well done and insight to online communities of male bonding is a way to put
Mm-hmm.
it general. So
Gotcha.
it's a well done film. It is slower paced. I
I
will
see.
stress that because I enjoyed it. Save the Green Planet I like more, but that could be my nostalgia factor.
Gotcha.
I will
Now,
concede
again,
that.
I've seen the trailer for this movie several times actually, and I believe
Mhm.
actually seen several versions of the trailer. I think there was like an early beginning of the year sort of trailer for it and all that sort of
Mm.
thing that was very short and all that sort of thing, but again it did show a lot of the, hey, this person is an alien, she's going to like, one guy was goading the other guy into helping him along and all that sort of thing, like she's
Yep.
going to like eat our brains or something like that. Can't remember how it actually goes and all that sort of thing, but the secondary one I remember being a little longer, and it seems to look like it gives away a lot of the story and all that sort of thing. But from what you described, it sounds like nope, that's pretty much what the movie is and whatnot. But
The Begonia is very true to the philosophy of the original.
okay, that's good to know.
The criticism of capitalism and
Hmm.
corporations not respecting its workers. It
Right, right.
is it's a theme we would see in Bong Joon-ho's films. That's why I brought up The Host.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it is consistent with that,
Okay.
and it's good in that idea. I don't feel politically it's as hard hitting as the original, but the acting style of Emma Stone and how she engages
Right,
with her
right.
captors, fantastic.
Well, to take that in consideration, a lot of the American
Yep,
remakes aren't usually as politically strong as the
correct.
originals to begin with,
Yep.
which is obviously what they're following. The fact that it is a slower and longer movie compared to the original is counterproductive to what we originally have seen. Like
Mhm.
The Ring is definitely a faster pace because it's just at the 90-minute mark, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the original American version of The Ring, whereas Ringu is a little longer, a little drawn out, and all that sort of thing. Storylines are dropped from it, all that sort of thing, to get your North American remake and all
Yep.
that sort of thing. But to see the opposite of that happening with that, that's kind of interesting, which also might be the reason why it took a while to figure out how to get into the story
Mhm.
at a different angle.
It might be because that our climate is more willing for this kind of storytelling, where we've seen Parasite later this year, no other choices coming out. Side tangent, I strongly recommend No Other Choice. I'm a big Park Chan-wook fan,
Okay.
but still seeing these more socially conscious or at least understanding the different classes within workers and how they relate, it's becoming
Right.
more of a central theme of films that we're seeing, or more common, maybe.
Okay.
Um, this one does take a few things for granted. It's not just full class consciousness, but also um, online indoctrination is part of it.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm trying to be as vague and general as I can,
Understandable.
but
Understandable. Yeah.
watching it, I could see a few criticism to social movements that we've seen in the past couple of years.
Gotcha.
Um,
Gotcha.
but it was a
But
fun.
still, highly recommend.
I enjoyed it. It's
Okay.
not my top, maybe top 15 of the year, not maybe top 10, like that range.
It's still a pretty good number.
It's still pretty good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it in the same class as No Other Choice or Obsession, Sinners, like the leaders so far.
Hmm.
I know Hamlet has also been getting a lot of good feedback, but I have not seen that yet, so I can't
Yeah. Same here.
comment.
Same here. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's coming out end of December, international, like worldwide, but it
Right.
got good feedback at Cannes, Venice, and TIFF. So
Hmm.
people, it's an Oscar nominated and winning director, so it's going to do well.
Yeah. Exactly. And it'll be a fantastic Christmas movie as well. I mean,
Yeah, about Hamlet's son and
yeah.
trying to come
It
up with his
seems
loss.
like a really
Yeah,
weird time to release that particular movie. But I guess you're getting it because again, I think the Oscars season pretty much wraps up at the end of like January, isn't it? Like
something
usually,
like that. Yeah, because
yeah.
usually
So you
December is
want to
when we
get,
start seeing the Oscar
yeah,
films.
exactly, exactly, yeah, yeah.
Hence, No Other Choice coming out soon, and a bunch of
Right,
others.
right,
Yeah.
right, right, right. Oh, and one of Dan's picks from the movie
Yes.
draft is getting released in December,
Oh,
which again I can't remember it's a woman's name and all that sort of thing, but nope, it's not coming to me.
yeah. No, it's escaping me as well.
All right, so this is Editor Troy coming in with a little bit of the answer to the previously unanswered question. The movie is Ella McKay. It was originally set for a mid-June release, and this movie is directed by James L. Brooks and stars Emma McKay, Woody Harrelson, and Jamie Lee Curtis.
But yeah, like Begonia, I recommend. If you can see
Excellent.
Save the Green Planet, I just have a DVD copy of it. I've not seen it on Blu-ray. I don't know how easy that is to find. But
Right, right.
Save the Green Planet, very low budget horror kind of film. Think of the Canadian film Cube, like that style
Oh,
of art.
really? Oh,
I,
okay, okay.
it's
Yeah, yeah.
not as over the top
No, no,
like
yeah. No, I understand what you're saying. I understand. Yeah, still
as
grounded
Cube,
in
but
reality, but that feel to it. Gotcha.
yeah,
Gotcha. Okay,
low
cool.
budget Canadian horror.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent.
But no, I've been holding on to Save the Green Planet for a long time. I'm glad to see. Hopefully, Begonia means more people get to watch it.
Which is usually how that actually kind of thing happens, as long as there is press to go, hey, this is what the original movie is. Because again, a lot of North American audiences didn't know what Ringu was
Yeah.
until The Ring and all that sort of thing. And yeah, so all right. So the thumbs up on that recommendation from Mitch and all that.
Yeah, definitely. If you can check it out, do. It might be heading to streaming very soon, as where the timing of this goes out, but it's worth a watch.
Excellent, excellent. All right. Thank you for that, Mitch.
Oh, my pleasure.